a podcast about knitting. I hope you enjoy. Okay, so this is my second episode. By this episode, I have doubled the number of episodes I have out there. I like how this is progressing, really. So it was so much fun last week, and I'm really excited about recording again. Hopefully this podcast can give me some space to talk about my knitting and about yarn, to relieve my dear but so uninterested husband from all the yarn talk. It's also been very fun to see that some of you have introduced yourselves in the Ravel group and also commented on the episode. I really appreciate it. It's nice to hear who you are and what you think about the podcast. So please, if you haven't done so yet, hop over to the Ravel group. There is a link down below in the description, and write me a line. Or comment on the YouTube clip, of course. This week I have 2 finished objects to celebrate, second episode. Maybe I don't keep this track going, but yay! I also started some new projects, of course, because when you cast something on, you want to cast something new on. And also I have some new yarn to show you. So let's get started. So my first finished object is, of course, this cardigan. I talked about it last week, because then I had like this much of the sleeves left, and the cuff, of course. And I'm really loving it. It's the pattern is called Siri. It's a Swedish design. Linnéa Öhman is the name of the designer. The pattern is available both in English and in Swedish though, so if you like it and want to make your own and don't speak Swedish, that should not be a problem. I really played yarn chicken on this one. It was not intentionally. I needed 1100 meters, but I ended up ordering 1100 yards of yarn. Yards are about 10% less. Don't do that. It's confusing. And if you have feet, you can kind of say because it's like a third of a meter. But with yards, it's like similar, and they are next to each other on the yarn label. Luckily I have like a meter left, so it's like no, not this ball. Like 1 meter of yarn left. So I'm glad I made it. Last week I also said that I might needed to redo the neckband. But I think it turned out fine. I was afraid it would stand up a little bit like this, but when I blocked it, I think it's good. It's quite wide up here. I don't mind. I like to be able to control my neck area a little bit more. Either I want to be free or I put on a shawl. As a knitter, I tend to have a lot of shawls too that I want to use. So, but I really like this pattern. It's also on the back. You can see maybe. Added some waist and bust shaping to it, and I also need to add buttons. I just had one up here so I can actually wear it. I knitted this in Knit Picks Wool of the Andes. They're the Lake Ice Heather colorway and worsted weight. As I said, I need buttons for this, maybe black as this one that I put in here. I just took a spare one, so I need to buy buttons, but I think I'll maybe go with black. What do you think? If you have any suggestions, please let me know. I kind of need some inspiration. Maybe it's boring with black, but it's also versatile. Second finished object, it's my Devil Snare socks. They are knitted in Knit Picks Stroll Glimmering, the Potions colorway. And I made a small modification with the toe, because I don't know if, let's see, they are asymmetrical, because my feet are asymmetrical. I don't know if you can see, but it's sloping more on one side than the other. If I do a toe like this, it will not fit my feet. This is my first serious try with magic loop, because I want to be able to do the 2 at a time socks, so I thought maybe getting comfortable with knitting socks magic loop would be a good start. I'm much slower, especially when you switch from one needle to the other and you're supposed to drag the... Here, look at this video, I show you. So first I'm just knitting regularly, but then as soon as I want to switch needle, I have to squish the other needle back and then squish it back and adjust it, and it feels like it takes so much time. Do you have any suggestion on how I can be faster? Is this the right way to do it? Really? These Erika that has designed the socks. She also made a lot of other Harry Potter inspired patterns, sock patterns especially, and they are free. Yay! Check them out if you're interested in Harry Potter. And socks. And knitting. But I guess you like knitting since you're watching this podcast. These socks has been entered into 2 Harry Potter cals that are going on until the end of April. Soon finishing up, it's first Katie of the Inside Number 23 podcast, Harry Potter cal, and also Jilly from the Knitting Broomstick podcast, her Harry Potter cal. So there are a lot of nice Harry Potter inspired patterns in those cals you can check out if you're interested. I really like Harry Potter. I grew up with it, and I really, really like the covers of the Swedish Harry Potter books. Yeah, they are really beautiful. But this is not a Harry Potter podcast. This is a knitting podcast, so let's move on with the knitting. This was all I had from finished objects, so let's move on to works in progress. I like to have one bigger project on the needles, like a cardigan or a sweater of some kind. And I also like to have a shawl and something small like a pair of socks, mittens, hat, something like that. So therefore, I have first a shawl. It's the same shawl as you saw last week, the Kvothe shawl from Carmen, Smolne. It looks like this far. It has those ridges. So you make a rib of 5 by 1, and then you drop the purl stitch. Every row you add 1, and every second row you also decrease 1. So therefore you end up with an asymmetrical shawl, and I hope it will become a little bit wider when I block it. I test blocked the first part here to see, and it's really soft, and I like how the fabric drapes. So I have about this much left of the grey. My big question is, should I add this ball of yellow as a stripe on the end to add a little bit more color to this beautiful, but yeah, grey shawl? I like it. I love this yellow color. Both these yarns are Knit Picks Gloss Fingering. It's a silk wool blend. And this is in the hawk color, and this is in the honey colorway. Be able to add maybe this much of yellow with this yarn here. What do you think? Should I not? This has been my bus and TV knitting for the last time, and I've had bus riding and TV watching going on this week, so it's almost done. I guess now when I have a podcast, I guess I should start adding a stitch marker where I was on the shawl last time I showed you, so then you can see my progress a little bit clearer, and me too. Mental note. Yeah, that's all. Let me know if you think I should add the yellow or if you think it's better in pure grey. Next finished objects is a pair of mittens, because since I finished my socks last week, I needed a new small project, but I didn't feel like socks again. And this is a project that has been in my queue for a long, long time. It's called Gudrun, and it's also a Swedish pattern by Lärkäng, but it's also available in both Swedish and English. And here it is, my beginning. It has those women symbols here, and it's color work. Here you can see a picture how it looks finished with the feminist symbol on them. It says in the pattern description so that you can fight patriarchy at the same time as you fight the cold. The yarn is Knit Picks Palette, and it comes in tons and tons of colors. It's a pure wool yarn, and it have like 100 colors or something, or even more. It's great for color work in that way. These colors are Seafair and Mist. Seafair is the blue and Mist is the grey. They turn out quite nice on the camera. Yeah, I started out with grey and orange. Maybe you have noticed, but I really like orange. But I already made a pair of mittens actually this year in grey and orange. So I decided maybe blue would be a good variation. I know they are totally out of season, but I like mittens. It will be cold sometime again. I changed the cuff. As you maybe could see in the pattern picture, was a lace cuff, and I decided to do a twisted rib instead. I really like twisted ribs because not only are they pretty, but you can also keep your needle in the same direction all the time. This was like one evening's worth of knitting, So, but I haven't got very far, but I expect to be fairly fast knit. Not too fast though, because then my color works tend to be more uneven, so I have to be careful. I would not recommend this as your first colorwork pattern, because it has fairly long floatings. That is when you carry the yarn on the backside. I've done a few colorworks before and I think it would be alright. Some of this unevenness will block out when I wash it. And you know, practice, if it doesn't make perfect, at least it makes it better. And you can be sure of one thing, without practice, you will not get better. You cannot learn something from not practicing. Keep up the color work practicing here. My last work in progress is something I talked about that I maybe wanted to cast on last week. It's my first crochet project. It's a granny square blanket. Okay, it's not a granny square blanket yet, but it's 2 granny squares, so I can make a blanket eventually. This is what it looks like. And this is totally a long-term project. When I get leftovers, I will keep making a couple of squares here and there. And there are tons of tutorials for this online, and I found one that I thought was clear. I link it below in the notes. Yeah, I will add a black border to this to put them all together, because I think that looks cool. And maybe I will add this into the blank blitz knit along with socks, etc. This is so you can work on your scrap projects, whatever it is. I expect this to be done before I retire. So that's quite a few years. Now I don't have a deadline, it's just going on. So these were all my works in progress for this week. But you maybe say that there was no big project. Well, you said that you always want to have a big project, like a cardigan, and you just finished one cardigan and you want to make another one then. Why don't you have a big project? Well, here comes the answer. Last week I talked about how I've been looking at yarn from PhD yarns and that I wanted to make a Waterlily top. I emailed the PhD yarn because the one I wanted, they only had one skein left, so I asked them if they would dye up some more in the future, and they said, yeah, sure, we dye up 2 skeins for you. And it was really fast. I think I talked to them last Sunday or something, and the yarn arrived in my mailbox yesterday. Here it is. Woo. So this is how it's packed. Here is their really cute little sheep. Here is their logo. And it also has this on the back side. Here is the yarn. It's the first time I'm opening it. Mina's yarn face. It's really nice. It's a wool silk blend. It's called Treatsy, and that's the base. And color is called Postdoc. Yay! My yarn uninterested husband is a postdoc, and this is going to be my Waterlily top, and that will be my new big project, the Waterlily top. Now when I showed you, I will cast it on probably tonight or something. I can't wait. I also ordered a project bag. Ta-da! I wanted to order a bigger one, but this one they had in stock. It's more like a sock size, or maybe for a smaller project, but I do a lot of smaller projects too, and it has this fabric on the inside. Maybe you can tell that I'm a little bit of a science nerd, so I should maybe say I'm an engineer. Really like that there are more people that are as crazy as me about science and technology. This is a drawstring bag, like this. Woo. It has a square button, it's lined, as you can see, but it's not thick as in quilted. I really like it. It feels, yeah, I like when it should not be more bag than project. My last acquisition, or new stuff, is some buttons from Ravelry. This is the button set, I needed this one especially because you know what's coming up? Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival, and I'm going. Are you going? If any of you viewers are going, please let me know, and I'd love to say hello. I know there is going to be a podcast meetup during the day. I hope I will be able to go there. If you're going to Maryland, Sheep and Wool, keep an eye out for me. And if you let me know, I'll keep an eye out for you. So these are the buttons from Ravelry. And yeah, I do love Ravelry. It's my favorite site. So that was all for today. It was a blast to to record today too, and I'm looking forward to hear what you think about the buttons for this cardigan, and if I should add the yellow to my Kvothe shawl. Also, if you have other suggestions and comments about the podcast, let me know in the YouTube channel comments or in the Ravelry group, or just come up over to Ravelry and introduce yourself. Well, thank you for joining me. I hope to see you soon again. Take care. Happy knitting. Bye.